Hey everyone! Welcome back. I am back today. I am finally back today with more Jojolion reviews, you guys. It's been a little while as I filmed this, between like having a little vacation and just like delays and stuff like that. It hasn't been a month, but it's been like a few weeks now since I was here talking to you about Jojolion, and I am so happy to be back, you guys. We have a lot going on today. I'm just going to give you a fair warning right now. If you know the story, you probably know what's coming in this one. If you don't, I'm going to need you to brace yourself a little bit because it's about to get... Like, I've had a few weeks to think it over now, so like I'm in an okay place about it. When I first read this, I was like, I went through all the wave of emotions. So before I get into all that, I do just want to say, if you are joining me early today, you know exactly what that means. It means that you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And you know just what's coming next. It's those big old hugs right through that screen. And if you're joining me on the YouTubes, thank you so much for joining me. I am glad you're here. I hope you will consider hitting like and subscribe for me because it helps my channel so very much. I hope you'll also consider checking out the link to my Patreon. It's going to be in the description below. And early access, uncut, full length, all that good stuff. Tons of reactions to going back years. Lots of JoJo reactions because I don't know if you can tell, but I love JoJo. So there's a lot of that on there. So thank you in advance for that. Moving on to today's batch. We are doing chapters 21 through 24. Before I start anything, I want to show you this adorable shirt that Leonie got for me for my birthday. It is absolutely perfect. I love it. If I was going to have a Jojolion shirt, like I didn't know what I was going to do about a Jojolion shirt because it's so mystery oriented that I was kind of afraid to go out and try and look for one myself in case there was like, you know, like a spoiler about what's going on with like who he is or something, you know, like he's really part Rohan or like, he's not part Rohan. Like I know that, but I don't know. It was just such a weird joke to make that I'm like, why not keep it going? But anyway, so when Leonie got me this, I was very, very happy because it's very much my style. It's very pink. It's very chibi. It's very kawaii. And it's our sweet and sour boy, our half orange, half lemon boy. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And Leonie, since you're editing this, you'll see this. Thank you so very much. I could not wait to wear this in a review. And so here I am. So yeah, I got a lot of JoJo stuff for my birthday, but you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to show it all off right now because we have a ton to go over, you guys. I'm already 3 minutes. How did I talk for 3 minutes already? I haven't even said anything. Let's just move on. So yeah, so where we left off, we were having this whole thing with the Shakedown Road. Yeah, I think my big takeaway from Shakedown Road was that I just really don't like Joshu. And there's really no hope for me to like Joshu, I don't think. Because honestly, I think that was it for me. That was like the litmus test. That was going to be like, okay, he's annoying, but we're going to do that thing like we did in part 4 so many times where we introduced someone, they were a total heel. And then we got to know them a little bit better. And it was like, okay, cool, we'll be friends now. And they ended up being real bros. So I was at least hoping for like frenemy kind of thing like Rohan, and not to compare Joshu to my precious Rohan. I love and respect Rohan, so it hurts me physically to even say that, trying to compare Joshu to Rohan, but I think you know what I mean. Yeah, no, he just ended up being, you know, just, you know, I mean, his stand is screws, guys. What does that tell you? He's just out to screw everyone over. Like, I think that's pretty much, unless there's going to be some big, like, I hate to say come to Jesus in after last part. Oh my God, that's going to be even worse after we get through this batch too. Just wait. But yeah, like, I just don't think I'm going to like him. But yeah, so we're still kind of coming off of that story. So let's just get started. Chapter 21, we kick off with an explanation of the stand for the leaves, which is called Autumn Leaves. I know that's a song reference. I don't know what it is. Somebody drop it on me. So this is how it works, okay? The leaves slide somewhere and then return to where they were, and the ability is naturally occurring with no stand user. And it sounds like most folks around this area know about this phenomenon, okay? So I don't remember if we mentioned last time that the leaves were just doing it on their own, or if that was the reveal right there, because they do talk about it a little bit more in this batch. But yeah, I think, I'm trying to think of all those stands we've seen that don't really have a user. I mean, Anubis is the big one that I'm thinking of, that it doesn't really need a user, but it was trying to like attach itself to a host. So even that one, I don't know. I think Autumn Leaves may be a unique in that. I think so, because there are ones that we've seen like Notorious Big, which I know it should be Notorious B.I.G., but they said it big for some reason. You know, that was one that like was activated after the user's death, so it wasn't really using its user, but like it still had a user, you know what I mean? And I might be forgetting some of them, honestly. I'm ashamed, but I might be forgetting some that may fit the bill a little bit more. But yeah, this is pretty interesting that it just has no users. Like, it is a naturally occurring phenomenon. So we see Joshu actually like see his stand. And he thinks back to like all the weird things that have happened, including like the thing with his eyes at the beginning, the very beginning, when we meet him. And meanwhile, the guys are still attacking him. So the one guy goes to grab him, but his hand starts like coming apart. And I was like, oh my God, is this stand gonna be like kind of like Sticky Fingers or like Mountain Tim? What was Mountain Tim's? A Lonesome Me? Was that the name of his stand? I don't know. Somebody will clue me in. Only this is like, it's not the guy's stand, it's Joshu's stand doing it. So the guy's hand and some fingers on the hand have come totally undone and unscrewed, and Joshu realizes he's the one doing it. So of course he does what you would expect a weasel like him to do in this situation. He grabs the envelope with the money in it and he runs. So meanwhile, Josuke is watching all of this as he's like being detained. And when Joshu gets far enough away, the guy's hand goes back to normal. So the guy's reaction to he just thinks that he dreamed it. And you'll see in the screenshot, his reaction to him thinking he dreamed it was just so funny. Like, I had to include it because it's just, I don't know. He was just so like animated about it. So Joshu's like really gloating about how he got the money, and it's too bad about Josuke getting arrested. He wouldn't have minded him being around, but you know, maybe when he gets out of jail, maybe Joshu will treat him or something. Like, just being really arrogant. That's when he opens the envelope and it's all leaves. It's all leaves. And I'm just like, you had that coming, Joshu. You had that coming. So the cops holding down Josuke go to open the envelope that they have, and it's all filled with candy. So I guess it turned out it was like a decoy or something. So they search Josuke, and he's got 300,000 yen on him. And he's like, you know what? Maybe you should go and follow that woman who is here, because the transaction you're looking for is already over. And like, this is Shakedown Road, so this cash doesn't belong to anyone at all. And I'm just like, smooth, Josuke. So meanwhile, we cut to Joshu, who's looking at the leaves a little closer. And guess what? They're all covered with Josuke's bubbles. And I'm just like, yes. Just the way he was gloating about like screwing over Josuke and everything. I'm just like, it serves you so right, Joshu. It really does. So Josuke reveals that he sent the leaves into Joshu's clothes, and the money moved back into the envelope that he stole. So I'm just like, that's that Joestar brain coming through. You know what I mean? So then he brought the money back from inside the envelope after Joshu ran away. So that's how it happened. So he tells the cops he just needs to pay the turtle shop owner, and he says basically that he's won. So he hits this cool pose, and again just declares that he has won. And I'm just like, yes, get it, Josuke. So the cops take off to go and chase the girl. Now he acquired Joshu's cell phone. So first thing he does is he tries to call Yasuho. She doesn't answer, and I'm just like, as soon as I read this, I was like, gee, I wonder why she wouldn't answer a call from Joshu. So it turns out he got blocked because she did think it was Joshu, and I'm like, fair. So he's thinking that he hasn't been able to talk to her in a while, which is true. And it makes me sad that they got split up so early on in the story. And he says there's no one in this town that knows him. Every time he just like kind of reflects on how he's alone in this world, I want to hug this sweet boy so badly. He's just, I would love to give him a hug. I really would. So then we see Yasuho's reaction to getting the call. She's in class, and she sees it's Joshu's phone number, and she blocks him because apparently he's been like bugging her like a stalker. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's, you know what, that tracks. But then she notices on her GPS, which we know is like her sand, like guiding her, that he's at Shakedown Road. Like the phone is at Shakedown Road. And then she notices something on the map called Joestar. I hope I'm saying that right. It's really hard when you don't have like an anime to listen to like pronounce these things. So she realizes, like, she's trying to think, where have I heard the name Joestar before? And she realizes that she heard it when Josuke was talking about the family tree. So she finds an article on Johnny, and it mentions... This all happens so quickly, because like 1 second we're just kind of bumming around with Joshu, and the next minute we're talking about Joestars, we're talking about Johnny, and guys, I'm gonna hold your hand right now as I tell you this, but she finds an article about Johnny, and it mentions that he was killed.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
During a stay in Japan. And as if that's not bad enough to be like, wait, what? This character that like made it out of his part. Wait, what? The worst part is he died in 1901. It gives the year of his birth and death on this article. Or no, maybe it's not on the article. It's just, maybe it is the article because it wasn't on the family tree, I don't think. It's shown in the screenshot. I can't remember. That means it was 11 years after Steel Ball Run. So he was like still a young man. And I'm just like, fudge. So you're like, this is all just, they're just like saying it casually. And I'm just like, ah. So we actually get to see like what Johnny looked like during that time. And he looks so good. He's got like a newer outfit, but he's still got like some of the stars, like the elements of the Steel Ball Run one. And he's got Josuke's hat. He's got Josuke's hat, you guys. Like, I love how they connected that back. Because remember that the hat was from, and this is going to be mentioned again, the hat was from a shop called SBR. So keep that in mind. So apparently he was going through the road near the Mutsukabe Shrine, which we all know from the Rohan story. The explanation in the paper is that he was bludgeoned to death with a boulder.
You serious?
And I'm just like, I'm not gonna start to get into my anger right now because like I have a lot to say and I'll wait until I tell you the whole thing. But I'm just like, the first thing I thought was like, they really gave him the Caesar death. They really just like dropped a rock on him and called it a day. And I'm just like, there's that. Just keep going. Because we actually see it. They actually show like the boulder on him. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? So we see Rina as well, which we had seen her. She was on the boat at the end of Steel Ball Run, but we didn't really like see a good picture of her. And this is like a really good picture of her. His wife, Norisuke's daughter, the first Norisuke. And she was a suspect apparently at the time of his death. So Johnny, according to this article, like we're getting like the official version of it here. Johnny was requested by the Japanese government to come and teach horsemanship, and was also there for the whole like fruit import thing that we know that like the Higashikata family is doing now, and they started doing like after the race and everything. So we see Paisley Park is with Yasuho, definitely helping her, and I'm like, okay, she's being guided to this information. So she keeps reading, and apparently they made an apology to Rina later because they ruled it an accident. And after that, they made a jizo, or a statue that's meant to guide deceased children to heaven, which is very like, oh. The whole thing is just so sad. And they dedicated it to him in Morioh to honor like this man who died in another land. And I'm just like, just reading this, I was just numb. I was just numb, you guys. Like, if this is the first time you're hearing it, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I have to do this to you. But that's when Yasuho puts together that the Joestars are linked to the Higashikatas, which we kind of knew already. So maybe she just didn't know. I don't think he had time to tell her, like, the whole thing yet. So she's like, is this a coincidence that I came across all this? And because remember, she's not super aware of her stand yet. Remember, like Holly was saying like, oh good, she has one, but like, I don't think she knows it yet. So yeah, she decides she's gonna go see Josuke and tell him all this. So we see Josuke, we cut away, and he's pondering that he feels connected to Morioh, yet like no one here knows him. So he actually runs into the Joestar statue, a Jizo, and there's a steel ball run tag on the hat it's wearing. Because remember I said like that's where they got the hat in the first place, was a hat shop called SBR, and I'm like, that might just be an Easter egg from Araki, but considering that Norisuke was in the race, like, I think not. So then we see the old man from the turtle incident turns up, the recent turtle incident that we had on Shakedown Road, and he says he'll tell Josuke about the American man who died and got that statue made in his honor. So Josuke recognizes the Joestar name too, and notices they have the same hat, and the old man tells him it is from the Steel Ball Run, the SBR shop. It just says SBR. But yeah, so apparently, I don't know, they don't go into it a lot, but I think that the shop was made like in honor of him and like named SBR. That's the only thing I can think of is like, because why would they sell those hats and why would it be called SBR? And first I thought it had something to do with Norisuke, but because he was in the race too, and he was actually in Morioh, so, but now that we know, yeah, I think it has to do with Johnny. So he tells Josuke, like, look, this is just folklore, this isn't confirmed or anything, but the real reason that Johnny came to Japan was because of his wife, Rina. They got to know each other on a boat, and yes, it is that same boat that we see them on at the end of Steel Ball Run. And guys, when I tell you, we get the cutest pic ever of Johnny feeding strawberries to Rina. This photo, this drawing is gonna make you wish that like Araki did shoujo. It's so adorable, and it's so like, just like, and I wouldn't say that I simp for Johnny. I think Johnny's very cute and everything, but like, this has a high degree of simpability in it. Let's put it that way. Like, see him feeding those strawberries, I'm kind of like, I mean, I was always more of a gyro girl, but I think I could be swayed. All right, simping over. Sorry. So he's telling this whole story, right? So like they were so in love, and they lived on a farm, and they loved and supported each other, and I'm just like, this is everything I ever wanted for really like any JoJo. And Johnny got it, only we know it all came crashing down literally. So Johnny even became like recognized nationally as a horseman and everything, but then Rina got sick and she started to lose her memories. That they'd come back only to like disappear again, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting, because we've seen that recently with the way that like Holly is not doing very well in that regard either. So it started getting really serious, and it even made like lines on her skin that like hardened. And so he took her back to her hometown of Morioh so that she could live out the rest of her life there. But then he decided to do something he never should have done. He went to New York City and he got the corpse, you guys. Remember how we left the corpse in that church in New York City and we were like, no one should be trying to harness this power. It's too much for anybody. That's not what it's meant for. We should just He went and got it. He unearthed it from the underground lair they had it in the church. To be continued. Because that's what they actually put the to be continued arrow in there. And I noticed he's done that a couple of times. And I gotta think, I don't remember him doing that. I don't remember him doing that in, maybe he did it in the, maybe it started in the manga. I think what I'm trying to say is, I always thought that was an anime thing. And he incorporated it at this time because the anime was already going at this time. And he did it as like a little, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was always in the manga, but anyway, Finn to chapter 21. I gotta tell you, when I first read this when I first read the death, okay, because by the end of it, you can see, okay, they're clearly going somewhere with this, and I think we're gonna get an explanation for it. But when we first just see the article and Yasuho's just like kind of going through it, kind of like, oh yeah, okay, this is we're just going through it. We're just going through the motions. I really, honest to God, thought for a second that he was just going to leave it. Like, Johnny came to Morioh. He got killed by a boulder. Moving on. For a second, I really thought he was just going to, no pun intended, drop that on us. And then kind of never circle back around and give an actual reason for it. Just, it was a freak accident. And it happened, and it took out one of the most beloved Joestars ever. And we're just moving on. Because it's a new era, you guys. I was so mad. I was so incredibly mad. Now, by the end of the chapter, I could kind of see that, okay, he's trying to build a story around this. Like, I don't think we're just going to leave it there. But man, I really did think for a second, like, he was just going to do that. He was just going to like drop the boulder and run. Like dropping the mic, but like way worse. But thank God, you can already tell, I think, from this chapter that he is getting at something here. But man, so I knew for a while, just for the way that like people were building it up, I didn't know what was going to happen to Johnny, but I knew that at some point, I don't remember when I got wind of it, because it wasn't like from the beginning of the part, but somewhere along the way, I did know that like at some point they were going to talk about what happened to Johnny, and that it was going to be something like I wasn't going to like, you know what I mean? But at this point, I mean, it's not like there was a big like, oh, maybe he's still alive, because it's like over 100 years later. But I really would have liked to have think that he lived out a happy life. Like, to think that he died young again is just kind of like a kick in the head. I will tell you, after the next chapter, I did not love it. Was it this? Yeah, it's this next chapter that they explain it. I still don't love it. I still don't know why it couldn't have happened when he was like 69 instead of 29. Like, why couldn't he have like lived throughout like a great majority of his life first? But I respect the real story behind what happened, which we'll get into in chapter 22. Other notable things in chapter 21, we had Josuke hitting the pose, which was great. Joshu being a jerk. The big thing that stands out for me is mostly just like the reveal about Johnny. It's just, you know, after we made it through the part with him and he was alive, like, can you imagine if we had, well, we weren't going to do this because there's a little part at the end about Joseph being older at the end of part 2. But can you imagine, like, we didn't get that and we just get, like, oh yeah, like, him and Susie get married and, you know, like, all this stuff happens. And then, like, okay, part 2, like, battle tendency, Finn, the end. And then we open up part 3 and we learn, like, yeah, like 2 years later, Joseph got, like, shot in the face or something. Just like, can you imagine if he had done that? I would be so upset. I probably would have had to stop watching right there. Like, that way, that would have been it for me. But, like, to retroactively give him a sad ending is like a giant middle finger in a way. But I will say, reserve some judgment until you hear how it happened, because it is a pretty good story and it is pretty fitting. And, like, as much as I hate that it happened, it's like any good JoJo death where, like, you hate that it happened, but the way that it's carried out is just so that you're just kind of like, I admire your talent, sir, even if I don't like how it makes me feel all the time. So, chapter 22, you guys. We kick off with a description panel of Joshu's stand, which is called Nut King Call. I'm sure this is a reference to Nat King Cole, who was a singer. At first I was like, oh, this must be like the localized version, but I'm like, no, because we're not doing that, and this is like a fan translation that I'm reading, so we're not doing that here. So I'm guessing it's actually called Nut King Call, which makes sense because of nuts and bolts and everything. I mean, he kind of did that with Jailhouse Lock too, you know, like it wasn't Jailhouse Rock, it was actually Jailhouse Lock. So, okay, so anyway, the stand can attach nuts and bolts that come off of the stand itself, because remember, it's like a pin, it has like the pinhead look. So it can attach those to other objects and then breaks them by removing the nut. It can also join separate objects together. So it's kind of cool. It can basically like put something together only to like break it apart again. Kind of like a really like industrial version of Crazy Diamond. Like, but not really, because it's not like it could just fix things automatically too. Like, it has to attach the nuts and bolts in order to break the thing apart. But it is kind of cool. Okay, so we're going through the story of what happened with Johnny, and we see Johnny praying and saying this is just one time that he's going to be bothering with the corpse. So another reason he went to Morioh was to put distance between himself and the government so that he had time to get away from them after going and stealing the corpse. So apparently, like, they're all like the American government stayed aware, like it wasn't just Valentine, like there were a lot of people aware of it after, which I kind of never really thought about. I kind of thought it just kind of like started and ended with Valentine, and that was the long and the short of it, but no. So they followed him anyway. He brought the corpse to the base of a cave in Morioh, and then he brought Rina to the corpse. So the narrator clarifies, remember, the corpse does not heal. It brings about the phenomenon of removal. And remember with Valentine, it just kind of like transferred the bad circumstances to someone else. So Johnny begs for the consequences to just go to someone that he doesn't know, to just spare his wife. And I'm like, oh, Johnny, this feels like a bad idea. I understand why you did it, but I don't know. So the corpse does its thing, and it looks like it's working. Rina wakes up and starts speaking normally, but she immediately asks where their son is, only to be met by silence. I think we can all see where this is going. Johnny looks in the carriage, and their little baby, this little boy, took on all the sickness, line, face, everything. It all transferred to him. And I gotta say, it's a horrible, horrible lesson, but like, this kind of fits with everything we went through in Steel Ball Run. It felt like a lot of it was shaping up to be kind of like a life lesson about power in the people who seek it, and how it's kind of like, and honestly, like, I totally get why Johnny did it. I probably would have done the same thing. Like, if you know it exists and it could literally save the life of your loved one, how could you not? But it's like, ooh, it was always something like that. It was always some like life lesson. You know what I mean? And I know that like Love Train worked really well for Valentine. You could argue like, well, yeah, but he was kind of like a bad person, so why wasn't there a life lesson there? But there was, ultimately. There was. Like, yeah. So, Johnny says he's learned his lesson. He won't use the corpse anymore because it just kind of takes that misfortune and brings it somewhere else. Which, like, we knew. But, of course, you're, going to try to push that down if it's for this person that you love. So okay, the next part, I gotta tell you, I did not cry over any of that. I did not cry when I found out he died. I did not cry when I saw the boulder. I was angry. When I read this next line, that's what got me. Johnny tells his son, George, I'm glad I was able to meet you. That was enough for me. I wouldn't trade that for anything. And when I read that line, it hit me so hard because the one thing that always stuck with me about Jonathan's story is that he never even got to see his son. He never even knew, as far as we know, you know, unless he just, I don't know, sensed it. I doubt it though. I don't even know how Aaron knew that early, to be honest, but some people they say it's like instinctive. You just know, but I don't know. But the fact that, like, as awful as this is, he got to meet George. He got to meet his son. He takes George, he puts him on the briefcase that's holding the corpse, gets them onto the horse, and starts using his stand. We see something strike George right in the head. And then we see it transferred to Johnny. The hit goes right through his head. He did it. He sacrificed himself. He took it on himself so that both of them could live. Boy, what a big risk, though, because, like, what if that had gone to somebody else? We would have been trying to, like, keep, like, transferring the damage and everything. But no, I think he knew. I think he knew that the lesson that he was getting from it was don't mess around with stuff like that. So George wakes up and looks over, and Johnny is laying there. So not wanting his son to see what happened to him, he makes the boulder fall on his face. And I gotta tell you, I hate that he died young. I really do. After all we went through with him, after watching him just get up over and over and over from whatever was after him, that chapter, that arc, it hurts. It's painful. But the way that it happens is just so, like, it's very fitting for a Joestar. I'm not gonna lie. And it's fitting for a Jonathan, because of course he would take that on himself. But man, like, that definitely made it a little bit, I mean, not better, but you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like a random death. I think I would have been so upset if it just been like a random death for this character that I love. So we cut back to, we cut back to the older man telling Josuke the story. The government ended up getting the corpse back, and they brought it back with them. And after the incident, the leaves started acting the way they're acting now. So I'm like, they got their sand from the corpse? Or, like, being around it? That's crazy. So Josuke wants to know if all that is true, and the old man assures him, like, it's just a legend and all this stuff, but he still demands like 3,000 yen for telling him the story because it is Shakedown Road. Josuke is putting together that Holly is related to Rina and their symptoms are kind of similar, which, yeah. Meanwhile, we cut to Yasuho, who licks her elbow and is like so proud of herself for it. Like coming off of that story about Johnny and then seeing Yasuho just being like, nah, oh my god, I did it. I'm just like, baby girl, you are everything. So Yasuho is outside the Higashikata mansion and notices the area with the spring where she first met Josuke. So she noticed in the article that she has about Johnny that on the same day he died, a baby washed up near 2 pines, one of which is now on the Higashikata property. And they had nothing to, he had nothing on him to ID him with except for like some expensive jewels. And I'm just like, and I'm putting this out there to you guys as well. What? Am I supposed to know like who that is? Like, is that a hint at something? Or because I'm just drawing a blank. I don't know who that's supposed to be. Like, it's not anyone who has anything to do with their family. I don't think. Honestly, you know, the first thing I thought, and the baby doesn't look anything like him, so I'm like, no, that's not right. But the first thing I thought was like, maybe it's like Dio reincarnated, because we saw like the way that Diego's story starts is like they actually like baby Moses style, like put him in a river and just sent him like sailing away. And I'm just like, it crossed my mind for a second, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know what that's supposed to be or like what, I don't know. If I am missing something very large and important, could somebody please point it out to me? Because I'm still kind of like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like, I don't think it's any of their descendants. I don't think. I don't know. So Yasuho mentions there were no follow-ups on the boy in later articles, so she has no idea what happened to him. But one of the pines is there in front of her, and she notices a hole in the base of it. She gets closer to the hole, and a hand grabs her through the tree. Now, that would be scary enough, but once she's in the tree, the hands start touching places they shouldn't be touching. And then whoever it is licks her. And I was just like, oh my god, it's gotta be Joshu. It's gotta be Joshu. It was not Joshu, but it was very disturbing. Finn to chapter 22. Guys, I don't know what's going on there at the end. I don't know what's going on with the story of like the baby that washed up there and it just happened to be like their property now and like all this. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. Like, I still don't know. But the big takeaway for me on this chapter was obviously Johnny's story and the story of how he actually died. And it makes total sense that he would go out sacrificing himself for the people that he loved. But it does make me very sad. And again, I just like, while I respect so much about how that's written, and it's such a, I mean, I hate to say it's like a good death, but like it is a very well written one. Like, I'm so glad he elucidated on it and didn't just leave it at like, I don't know, a rock fell on him. I just need him out of the picture. Let's go. Like, as much as I appreciate all the effort behind it, I'm like, he could have been like 49 or 59 or 69 or 79. He could have been any age. That did not have to happen there. He could have lived a good long life. But I guess another way you can look at it is he did live longer than Jonathan. He got to spend time with his family. He got to be happy with Rina. He got to meet his son and raise his son for a few years. And man, that got me. That got me in the soul. Like, nothing about it got me. I was just angry. But when I read that line that like, I'm so happy I got to know you, George, I was just like, God bless it. What are you doing to me, Araki? Like, what are you doing? Because of course, you know, the first thing you think of is Jonathan. Like, OG Jonathan. So that's the story, you guys. That's what happened to Johnny. Gotta be honest, I was really hoping that after jumping ahead like over 100 years, we could just leave it at, he had a good long life. Now I'm scared about what happened to the other ones. So I'm like, tell me George didn't die young in this one or something. Or like, I don't know. I mean, we don't know what happened to Joseph or any of them. Like, in our universe, in the original universe, like, Joseph lived forever. Does anyone know anything? I mean, I think they said that, like, the only living one at this time was the oldest one was Holly. So maybe not. I don't know, but I can only hope that, like, he lived a long life. And now I'm, like, scared about the other ones that they're gonna tell us, like, oh yeah, so, you know, Lisa got put in a blender, and well, she's just Elizabeth in this, but, you know, like, I'm scared that he's gonna retroactively, like, torture them, but I don't think so. I think he just wanted to give Johnny an ending, and I guess it had to be a dramatic one and not, he lived a really long time and he was super happy and he was super old, and then he went to go be with his brother and Gyro, and but he went to go be with them. And I guess the way you could look at it is it could have happened a lot sooner had he died in Steel Ball Run, and he got some extra time, especially compared to Jonathan. So it was sad, guys. It made me sad. I'm still a little miffed about it that, like, he had to get taken out that way, but it was a good death. It really was. Okay. So chapter 23, we get an updated map. I thought that would be helpful for anyone who wants, because it's updated with, like, all the stuff that we learned about in the last few chapters. Yasuho wakes up and there's someone behind her, and I'm looking at this character and I'm like, I kind of thought that they looked familiar. And it turns out it's Tsurugi, who is the child of the oldest Higashikata son that we haven't met. We met the wife, I think. We didn't meet him yet. So Yasuho realizes they're underground in a basement, and she's like, what the heck? She looks around and there's so many Easter eggs. There's, like, a statue of a boy riding a fish and he's wearing a Jotaro hat. There's dice that, like, kind of remind me of the Mikitaka episode with the dice. There's also a painting of a car by Norisuke. I'm guessing maybe the original Norisuke, or maybe, like, one of the sons of him, maybe from the 30s, because I don't know. 40, he was pretty old. I don't know if he would have been around, like, what, how many years after Steel Ball Run? 40, 50, 40 if it was in the 30s. Anyway, Yasuho asks why Tsurugi pulled her down here, and Tsurugi explains that Yasuho was spying, and, like, only Tsurugi knows about this hidden cave, and apparently it got, like, connected to the roots of the cave after the earthquake, or the roots of I think I meant roots of the tree, sorry. Tsurugi is playing that game with paper. You know, if you've ever known anyone in, like, 3rd or 4th grade, you know this game. I don't know the name of it, but you know what it is. Just look at the screenshot. You already know what it is. So Tsurugi picks one that says newspaper and wants to know if, like, Yasuho is really investigating. So she says no, and she's just trying to help Josuke. And Tsurugi keeps going with the game thing and wants, like, a piece of Yasuho's hair now. So Yasuho gets a hold of the paper, and some of the things written on there are, like, newspaper, panties, hair, and Cave of the Pine Tree on the Coast. And I'm just like, oh, wow. We just, yeah, one of those is very specific. So Yasuho's like, I'm out of here. But then she notices she doesn't have her phone. So Tsurugi is like, she tells Tsurugi that she wants it back, and Tsurugi's like messing with her. Like, are you sure you ever had it? And she definitely did, because we see her when she fell through into the basement, she had it. So Yasuho's had enough and grabs Tsurugi and starts, like, frisking, looking for the phone. And Tsurugi's like, look, it's not that I mind being touched, but, like, I think it's kind of not right to be touching some random kid's body, even if you are a girl. And I'm like, okay, first of all, fair. Second of all, Yasuho stops dead in her tracks and looks at Tsurugi and asks if Tsurugi isn't actually a girl. Which, to be fair, I don't think they ever said that Tsurugi was a daughter. I don't think they ever said anything about Tsurugi being a girl, just, like, being, like, the child. Tsurugi's wearing a dress. But yeah, you can never assume. You can never assume. And so Tsurugi explains that Yasuho must be like the only one who doesn't know about this. Apparently, the Higashikata family has been raising the firstborn son as a girl until he's 12 for generations to like ward off evil spirits or something. So Tsurugi's dad, the one we haven't met, and like their dad, this generation's Norisuke and everything, like they've all done this. So Yasuho feels kind of funny now, is like apologizes and keeps looking for her phone. Her stand pops out and her bite mark thing on her ankle starts hurting. And that's when we see Josuke get like an epiphany about sending Yasuho an email instead of calling. And the email is so cute because it says like, hey, I'm not Joshu, guess who? And let's go eat some dumplings, etc., etc. And then he signs it 4 balls. So Yasuo's phone goes off when she gets the email, and she notices the noise. She hears the noise. It's like coming from underneath the rug that Tsurugi is sitting on. So she starts patting the floor to try and find it, but she can't. And then Tsurugi is just kind of like sitting there looking at her like, and I'm just like, what is going on here? So Tsurugi tells her it's there. And when they pull up the carpet, there's like a blue piece of fabric or paper. And she lifts it, and there's her phone, but it's like mutated into this twisted up shape. And I'm like, huh? So then it jumps on Yasuho and attacks her, and her face just starts splitting. So I'm like, of course it does. Almost kind of like the thing that Rina had with like the lines on the face and everything. Finn, you guys. Finn in chapter 23. That was a short one. It was mostly Tsurugi just being kind of creepy and kind of luring Yasuo. So I guess Tsurugi was the one that was like doing that, because who else would it have been? So very, very creepy. Very creepy. And then the reveal that like all of the firstborn sons had been raised as girls was interesting. And yeah, and thank God Josuke was able to get something through to Yasuho, but hopefully she'll even be able to see her phone to actually get it now that it's turned into like some kind of twisted shape. So that one was a fairly short one. The next one is a little bit beefier, and we're kind of getting a little bit more into like this like Tsurugi's stand and everything. So let's just move on to that. Chapter 24. Tsurugi, we just open on Tsurugi saying, no buts about that butt. And I'm just like, because meanwhile, Yasuo's just over here like suffering from whatever just happened to her. And I'm just like, this family's so freaking weird. So I did notice at this point, the paper thing on Tsurugi's head looks to be the same shape as Yasuho's phone like took shape of. So I'm guessing it's like an origami kind of. So we see the phone again and it's back to normal, and Yasuho's just like, yeah, who knows. But her face is all messed up, and she's asking Tsurugi like what he did to her. So Tsurugi thinks that Yasuho was going to try to hurt him with her stand, apparently, and wants to know how Yasuho is able to see his stand. But Yasuho, like, she doesn't really know. She doesn't know, like, specifics of, like, what the stands are and everything. And she's just confused and wants to know if Tsurugi's going to hurt her. And he says, like, no, like, he loves her, like, L-U-B-S, and adores her. And I'm just like, this family's so freaking weird. So Yasuho decides to leave and finds a way out of the basement, but still doesn't know why they'd have a place like this in the first place. So she notices there are more rooms and then goes to check them out. She finds a room with Kira's clothes, like Kira's sailor uniform, or Josuke's, I guess, if you want to let, but it's either. Naked dolls, an Ultraman doll, and a poster from what looks like is a Bruce Lee movie, I think, and like a busty girl poster. And Yasuho comments like there's even a toilet here, almost like, and she trails off, but basically like almost somebody was living there. So then Tsurugi shows up and wants to show her the way out, and she declines, I think very wisely. And she says it's like someone was being imprisoned there. Which I'm wondering if like maybe Kira either like staked out there on his own to try and find out more about this whole family tree thing or something, or if maybe he was being imprisoned there. I don't know. So she ends up, Yasuho's on the outside now, and she gets the email from Josuke, and she's like, oh, okay, he must just send it from Joshu's phone, but she knows it's from Josuke, and she looks pretty happy about it. Super cute. So she notices one of the dogs on the property is acting weird, and they never really go anywhere with this. I just thought I'd mention it because, like, they made a note of it. She's confused about him signing his name 4 balls. Like, that didn't traumatize her. Like, how could you forget that, my girl? But then she decides to meet him at this cafe he invited her to. So Tsurugi is following her and says he wants to help, but she's like, no, stay away from me. So he says to come back to that room if something goes wrong, and he'll try to help her. So she notices, like, the birds and the mannequins in the stores and everything all looking kind of not right. Like, what's going on with that? So that's ominous. So she asks for directions, and the person who gives them to her, plus the person walking by them at the same time, have the same face. And it's like a very distinctive face. Like, look at the screenshot, because it's not a face you see every day. And she's like, why were their faces the same? So then she notices the window washer, and like for the store that she's in front of, and even the mannequins inside the store, they all have the same face. All the people on the street have the same face. She rubs her eye and her contact falls out, but when she looks on the ground, it's the origami stand that fell out. So she recognizes it as Tsurugi's, and she's feeling that something bizarre is happening. She said the thing. But then just decides just to get right to the cafe. So she runs home to put in new contacts, and her mom is like playing video games and asks her about dinner. And her mom is just giving her like a really hard time right now. Like, the only other experience we've ever had with the mom was like her being passed out with hickeys on herself. So, like, you get the idea the mom doesn't have a lot of great judgment, like, right off the bat. And here she is, like, chilling, playing video games. And giving Yasuho a hard time about just, like, existing, basically. And she's, like, accusing her of sounding like her dad and all this stuff. And I'm like, no offense, woman, but you have the emotional maturity of an amoeba. You should not be judging anybody on, like, how they're acting or their life choices. Like, go back to your game. Be gone. So then Yasuho turns around and the mom has the face. So she freaks out. She's like thinking, she's like, where's my mama? Who are you? But then Yasuho turns around and looks in the mirror, and she herself has the face, you guys. And at first she's thinking it's the contact lenses, and I'm like, no, sweetie, we're past that. But even the family photos, like, in frames look like that. She's trying to figure out if, like, maybe Tsurugi gave her a drug or something. So her mom is getting aggressive now and asking, like, who are you going out to meet? Is it a man? And, like, are you going to meet some boy? And she asks if it's, like, the weird naked guy and everything. And I'm like, okay, ordinarily, I would say weird naked guy could raise some red flags to a parent. But, like, ma'am, your choices are complete crap. You have absolutely no right to judge here. Like, the last time we saw you, you had nibbles on your body from God knows who. And, like, you're really not one to be judging about. Like, he said, for your information, Naked Man is a wonderful man. So just go back to your game. Be gone. Anyway. So, Yasuho tries to explain what's going on, and the mom was just, like, creepy laughing at her. Like, doing, like, the Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon laugh. Like, oh, and I'm just like, who does that? Like, is it a different person, or is the mom just kind of a creep? I don't know. Like, the mom's giving me bad vibes. So Yasuho runs out of the house crying, and this is the second time her mom has made her run out of the house crying, by the way. And she decides, like, I gotta get to Josuke sooner. I cannot wait. So she spots Tsurugi in the crowd, and realizes that his face is the only one that she can really see normally. So Josuke calls her, and finally they're able to like reach each other and actually have a conversation. So she tells him to meet her sooner at the cafe, like it's an emergency, and he says, sure, I'll be there in 5. So Yasuo approaches Tsurugi and starts screaming, like asking what he did to her. And all he says is that a cicada is semi-nude when you unwrap it. Which apparently, thanks to the very helpful translator's note, is a play on words for the Japanese word for cicada and the English phrase semi-nude. Which is clever, but if that hadn't been explained, I'd just be like, another brick in the wall weirdness, I guess. So he explains that the Higashikata family goal is like the prosperity of their descendants, because she's like questioning him about like, what's your goal? So he taps the ground and she starts falling. And we see an origami come flying from like the Higashikata mansion, and someone starts to slip on it. They reveal the person slipping on it is Josuke, who's looking down at this piece of paper like, huh? And everyone behind him has the face. Finn to the chapter, Finn to the batch, you guys. That was a really good one. We got a lot in this one. I mean, obviously, like, the biggest takeaway for me is the Johnny stuff, which, again, I'm very bittersweet about, because, like, if they had just left it, I'd be like, he probably just lived to be, like, 90 years old. He died, like, maybe 20, 30 years prior to this, natural causes, and we know he had a big family, and, like, presumably actually got to know all of them this time around, and nah. Araki couldn't have that. We can't have nice things, apparently. That being said, the way that it happened was actually really well written. Tragic, but well written. And I really do have to give respect for that, because that was and to bring the corpse back into it and everything. And then to connect like Rina's illness to Holly's illness, possibly. I mean, it was really well done. It was really well done. So, like, I can be mad about it, but I can't be mad about, like, the overall. I can't be mad about, like, the quality. You know what I mean? I can be mad about the decision, but not about the quality of it. So, we get to see a little bit more of Joshu's stand, which is, you know, great, I guess. You know, not a big Joshu fan, but it is kind of cool stand, I gotta say. The way that it works is kind of interesting and probably way too cool for someone like Joshu. I'm throwing shade at a lot of people today. I'm like, I'm not having it with Joshu. I'm not having it with the mom. Tsurugi's kind of creeping me out a little bit, being a little bit too handy, and just being overall just kind of like, just kind of creeping a little bit on Yasuo. I don't know if Tsurugi is doing this all on purpose, because Tsurugi did sound like, I kind of want to help you. Like, I want to make sure you're going to be okay. So I don't know if, like, maybe Tsurugi can't control his stand fully, or maybe, like, I don't know. Like, I'm assuming it's Tsurugi's stand, because it all happened around Tsurugi, and Tsurugi is the only one whose face looks like it should. But, I mean, I also thought the leaves belonged to the busty girl. So maybe it's another I don't think it's another naturally occurring, but like maybe it's someone else's. I don't know. Maybe whoever is stealing Josuke and Kira's fits is still living down there and it's them. I don't know. I don't think so though. If I had to put money on that thing with the basement in the room, I'd say I bet that's where Kira was either imprisoned or was like holed up trying to investigate them. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because they did mention that like nobody knew about that little secret area until the earthquake happened. And that kind of like, that's how Tsurugi anyway unearthed it. So I'm not completely sure. And I have no idea what's going on with the baby that washed up. Like that, if somebody wants to like give me a hint on that or something, if I'm supposed to know, because I had no idea where that was going. I'm just like, who on earth is that baby? Because it happened the same day that Johnny died. So it's not anyone in their family, because he only had George, and then George, when he's older, goes on it. So it's not like, oh, there's, I don't know, maybe they took the baby in. But then who is, I have no idea. I have no idea how that would connect to the story. Like, literally no way. Yeah. I don't know, maybe it's Johnny reincarnated. It happened on the day he died. Did it happen after his death? Maybe that's reincarnated Johnny. I don't know. Reincarnated Dio was probably a stretch, but it's hard for me to believe we're just not gonna have any Dio now. Like, Dio's just like, we're just done. We have a whole JoJo series that's never gonna have Dio in it ever again. That's kind of wild to me. But yeah, I mean, we had a good run with him. Well, while we had him. Yeah, guys. So I think that's pretty much, you know, the origami stand is interesting. It's making everyone have like the same face in Yasuho's estimation. Yeah, the big standout stuff to me was the Morioh 1901 stuff. And I'm very glad that she's actually gonna get, I hope she actually does get to Josuke this time. But yeah, guys, so now we know what happened to our beloved Johnny. Not the happiest, but I can't be too mad about it because it was super well written. And, I think maybe in the future we'll have more like flashback stuff, not about Johnny, but maybe about others. So I guess we have that to look forward to. I'm really glad that that's kind of like part of the mystery where, you know, we're sort of putting together like the story of the whole Joestar line and Higashikata line in a way. So yeah, that was quite the batch, you guys. Sorry to have to leave off in the middle of an arc again. But I think this was a lot for one batch, especially with all of the reveal stuff about Johnny. So I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. Please, for the love of God, I will definitely need your help on whatever it is they're doing in the future. After what we learned today, I need the moral support in such a big way. So please be sure to join me next time, and we will read it together. Bye for now, guys.